Good evening. I'm Chris McKean.
And I'm Andy Kiner.
Hey, we're all about cross-country racing, and typically it starts with 10 seconds.
But not in Iowa. In Iowa, it starts with hands-on helmets.
Welcome, guys. It's been a few weeks as we catch up on some personal things, but all is good, and we're back. Hopefully, with a more regular schedule again, like we've promised. So, got some good ideas coming, right? We can maybe talk about them. I know that we've got a lot to try to fit in, and we're going to try to keep it up to an hour tonight. Yeah.
You say that every night.
I try to keep you to an hour, which equals, Andy Kiner time, about 90 minutes or so.
Hey, now, Kiner time has been on time for quite some time now.
Yeah.
As long as scoring's been ready at the end of the day, we're good to go.
Oh, yeah, we did have.
You know what? I think a lot of people were surprised. I'm not going to say I wasn't, but, the crew worked really hard this year, and I'll give Paul Cirk a lot of credit. Him getting up in that last race, when before I even walked out of the motorhome, I heard him on the track going around the kids already, and he's always been really good at that. But the crew has done a phenomenal job about getting track changes done, and moved over, and and you and the girls have worked real well with getting the scoring up there, to the to do awards and get ready for the next one. But it just seems like everything, it's not that we haven't always had the stuff to do it. Just, I think Trace has always just kind of held us back a little bit as far as being on time.
No. I'm going to say I think it was Brock. While you're absent, kind of set the bar high, and you had no choice but to keep going and keeping us on track.
I think we did good from the beginning of the year this year, but I can't tell you how impressed I was. Even the two that that I was a no-show. Everybody did a great job, especially with everything that happened. Getting the start going late due to the ambulance deal at Cahokia.
That did set us back a little bit. Yeah,
but everybody did a great job of picking up the slack and getting things caught up. And by the end of the day, you guys weren't off that far at all. No. So, yeah, definitely a tip of the hat to the whole crew and not just the crew. I mean, the crew, it has to happen there first, but we gotta push and thank everybody that gets down to the starting line, ahead of time. It's very hard when everybody is on time down there, and then you have to do your little talk, even if you're going to hurry through it. But when you're trying to do it, and 5 minutes before people are pulling up, and it's kind of interesting how many times one of them individuals are in the middle of something and didn't hear what was going on, so as we work to get on time every time, I think it's important to get our riders down there to make sure they're on time too, and not on the old schedule.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because to keep things moving along throughout the day, we've got to kind of keep tight to that schedule. So especially this year, we threw on the Adult 90 series. Next year, maybe we can have a return of the electric races if we can get enough participants. So there's lots of things throughout the day that we try to cram in. So it's very important that we stay on time.
Yeah. And look at the last race. If I had a nickel for every time someone called me or told me, you ain't ever going to be able to get, this started or this on time with doing the Hotsy hole shot and doing the Adult 90, and everything. And that last race, man, everybody did a good job. The riders were there. The crew was ready. We even had Paul Cirk racing in it, So, and he was out really early to make sure he could do that. So I thought everybody just did a wonderful job this year. So.
Yeah. Can you still hear me?
Okay. I can.
Yep. I did just have a mic issue. So, so we do apologize for everybody for Wednesday. I'll take the blame on that one. Just the technology these days. I had a laptop that decided after was it 6-7 years in this series, decided to quit. So it was very quickly had to go and get the new laptop ready. That's been sitting around here all year long. So had some hiccups. So we got everything worked out, and I did a couple tests Wednesday, and we did another one today to make sure that we could be okay. But technology, it happens.
And let's be clear, what time was it when that all happened? That was right before we were going on.
Yeah, that was right before we were supposed to go live. We had some hiccups.
So that was a last second deal. So yeah, that's all right though. Things happen.
Things happen. Yep. So we haven't done one for a while. We've been kind of super busy in our own personal lives. But yeah, we haven't talked about Murray. Did a Murray highlight. So
yeah, there's a lot to highlight there.
I mean, it was as you were saying, everybody pulled it off. Not only was the crew on time, but we got to give it up to all the racers and participants to the Hotsy Hole Shot Challenge. Everybody was on time, ready to go, and we were able to get through everything very quickly.
Before we even get into the results and the crew and everybody, there's a couple people that we need to thank for down there. That is there any time we need it, any second, that truly enjoys the sport as much as any single person down there, and that's the Moores. Eric and Connie. Yep. I mean, it's just a hoot having them, and the amount of people that come through and I talk to even afterwards, just like, yeah, man, I was talking to them guys, and they just have fun talking to them. It's just all about the sport and, and the history and stuff. And so it's really cool having landowners like that are as involved and, and appreciate the sport as much as, the guy lining up all the time, so it's pretty cool. They've done this for a long time together, and, and now having the races down there and stuff, it's just really neat having them there. So can't thank them enough for letting us come and play, and what a beautiful area, Yeah,
we've got to experience the land a couple times, some years, multiple times throughout the year. It's always nice to go down there in the fall as all the trees and everything's starting to change colors.
Yeah. I don't know if it was just things were a little ahead of schedule this year or something, but I thought this was like the best one. I mean, you looked out there at the lake, and I mean, those trees were already changing. I mean, you just literally, I don't want to sound soft when I say this, but I don't think you could find a better setting. Oh, yeah, right. But for the season championship, I mean, I just perfect setting, the way the parking is, and everybody's just close together and stuff. And, with our extra activities that we had going, and that evening, it was a perfect setting for that season championship.
Yep.
So,
yeah. So bigger highlights, we started off the day 8 a.m. like we always do. Actually, earlier than what we do. We had to actually start with the first 3 rounds of the Hotsy Hole Shot Challenge. So that was an early wake up.
7:45, wasn't it?
Yeah, 7:45. We had to get started, which, thanks again for everybody showing up on time. I think everybody kind of looks forward to that, the Hotsy Hole Shot Challenge. So yeah, it was good turnout.
Yeah, and I think even the ones that don't get there in time, got the long drives that would like to be there. It's kind of a bummer because really, I mean, the way we do that, it keeps it fun. It keeps it interesting. There's no kind of standing around, we're always going, but there's really no other time to do that, safely and get it done so that those guys aren't racing or doing that right before they race, and we obviously can't do it afterwards. So even though it's got to be early like that, I think it works out great. Just one day of the year, they got to get up early. So I think it worked out really good.
So while we're talking about the Hotsy Hole Shot Challenge, we got to congratulate our king, so to speak.
Yeah, that's so much fun because you look at last year, the 2 strokes had just a killer day, and let's be honest here. Every time we do this, we always have somebody. I'm going to be that guy right now. Okay, Chris. what's bugging Andy, but it's we always have somebody that says, well, 2-stroke shouldn't be allowed at the 4 strokes, and a 450 shouldn't have to run against a 250, and a utility shouldn't be running against a such and such, Well, man, does it get any more, I guess, arguable when you have stuff like what happened this year? Last year, a 2-stroke won, right?
Yeah.
And everybody thought the 4x4s would win. This year, we got a 4x4 in the finals against a 250.
Yeah.
With Sonny Verts, he's on a 250, the littlest guy out there racing against the 450s and the thousands and everything. It doesn't make a bit of difference what you're on. You still got to get down there. You still got to make that corner,
Yeah.
And it's all about the starting. We had a lot of guys that left their machines off and, and kind of screwed the pooch right there, But the guys, when you're there and you got to focus and everybody's watching you, and you're starting good. It's not just who, drag races to that end, it's making that corner. We've seen a lot of guys. It's not always the first guy to that end that, that came back around for the win,
Yep.
There's a lot of guys that halfway around that corner, started spinning and everything. And guys like Sonny Verts took advantage of that, man. He just drove the thing and got right to it. And It's pretty cool. So this is the first time we ever had a 4x4 make the finals, against a 250. I mean, I think if you're hung up on what CC or what utility, you probably be better thinking of more about turning your machine on and taking the choke off and stuff like that and be ready to go.
Yep. So yeah, congratulations, Cody, for again winning.
He had quite the cheering crowd down there too,
Yep.
And and he probably got through the favorite in the first round.
Yeah.
You do remember who he took out first round, right?
Oh, I can look.
Yeah, because I think he was ready to school everybody, and Cody just had his number that day. That's a Paul Cirque. Why do you laugh, Chris?
Oh,
if
good
Paul's
old Paul.
watching, I hope he sees this because I had all the confidence in him, and Chris is just laughing. So,
oh, how come you didn't pick Paul on your bracket then?
We're not here to discuss brackets right now. We're just talking about.
Sorry, Paul. You're on my bracket that I didn't fill out. So yeah. So overall, yeah, after the hot seat whole shot challenge, we went into our regular race series or races throughout the day. We started off with the 90s. I mean, pretty close racing there. I think close battles.
Yeah, we had some really good battles going on there. Trying to bring mine up so I can remember. I didn't have it ready. I thought I had it ready. It's been long enough now. It's hard to remember them.
Well, I want to say that the adult. If we talk about the stock 90s, got to look at the younger 90s, the 8 and 9 year olds. That was a close race, or this race was the deciding factor between Drake Enquist and Hoyt Faulkner. So Hoyt didn't have the greatest start, I believe, at Murray. I think he went into the woods near the end of the pack. Battled his way up. There. Yeah, it ended up battling, I think, up to 4th place, if I remember right, to finish. Just wasn't. He needed one more place to knock off Drake. So congratulations to Drake Enquist for taking home that first place for the 90 stock 8 9-year-olds.
Yeah. And look at those points on those. Isn't that crazy? How tight that battle was, though, going into that race.
Yep,
you had at least 3 kids that I'll guarantee you didn't sleep very well the night before.
Yeah, came down to Drake, Hoyt, or Brig and Mathis. So
yeah,
very tight.
Yeah, and they all did a really good job, and so yeah, that's good racing right there. still one of the best decisions we ever made, Chris. I know splitting them up.
Yeah, we'll look at that again. We're the plans going into 2025, just to throw it out there, is that we're going to keep the classes split. We'll have to take a hard look after that first race. If there's not enough participants, we'll have to combine them or think about combining them again. But I think that those two classes are very strong, that we'll keep them split for the whole year for 2025.
And I think to help them out, Chris, I know we haven't even talked about this, something to talk with Trace about too, but if we could get everybody knowing, especially in that 90 class, to pre-register that first time, that way we kind of got an idea. And that way we can also look this year, we went through and looked at, you actually did the work, the behind the scenes work on this, is looking at the ages and everything and where to make that split, and the whole split was to get it to be close to 50-50, and I think it was like the perfect split. It was very even all year long. So, this year for us to do that again, because it might be a flip side, you might have enough kids going up to the bigger ones that might have, the older crew might have 70% and 30% being there. And if that's the case, we'll have to adjust the ages,
Yep. We'll do that.
If those two classes though could pre-register ahead of time, that would let us know. And I think that helps them too know, kind of where they're at as well. So
yeah, that's something maybe in the off season that I can start working on and kind of seeing that who's going to stay in the younger class or who has to move up based on age. Or maybe, like you said, we fluctuate the age brackets, but I am going to push again for a 2025 questionnaire. I think that worked out very well, and we can talk about before we get to the banquet, but that helped out. I think not only us internally make sure that we have everything updated, but it also sped the registration process along. So I think we'll definitely do another questionnaire and get everybody's updated information, as well as some other things that we're just not quite ready to announce yet, that we're still working behind the scenes, trying to make everybody's lives a little easier as far as the registration process and paying for the races. So we'll cover that on a future podcast here.
I see you smiling. You're wanting to talk about it really bad, aren't you?
I know. I really do, but it's just not ready.
I think you're going to make a lot of people happy though when we are able to release that. So
yeah, we're diligently working behind the scenes. So all right. Nice. So we kind of got off track.
That's all right.
Because we also have to, mention the other 90 class, the 10 to 15-year-olds, that it was, a kind of a tight race between the top three again: Nicholas McMillian, Raylan Atkinson, and Riker Birch.
Did you say McMillian?
Million.
I thought you said McMillian.
I might have
giving him crap or something.
He was on my machine, so he gets the Mick.
Yeah. Atkinson and Birch. I mean, them guys were up there battling with Millen the whole year, so didn't surprise me at all that came down to those three.
And I think, when you look at that class, there's some kids in that class that needs kind of a shout out, Cannon, Cash, even my buddy Ethan Shoemake. Those kids are all, even though they're in the older 90 stock class, it was their experience level. Even Xander Bodorf, in top 10 there, that their experience level isn't quite there. But as you kind of see, and this is kind of like the class I like to look at, because when you start off that 10-year-old, you're going to be in the bottom of the class, because those more experienced kids, they already know kind of how to throw the machine around, which gear to be in. So it's kind of nice to see these lower, the kids that are in the lower finishing area, kind of see how they progress to be in the top 3, top 5 in that class. So I think it's exciting to see what next year is going to bring with that class.
You mentioned coming in and being a 10-year-old and starting out, and you think, I'm 10, but you don't realize that a 12-year-old that's in your same class could have 8 years experience already.
Yep.
That's huge. I mean, that is huge. So yeah, you're exactly right. So no, both of those 90 classes I thought was really putting on probably the best show of the day, multiple races this year. So
yep. And
so
the next class 90 production, if you want to throw that out there, there's some talented kids that have the experience that not only do some of them race in our series, there's some that race GNCC or have raced, at least one GNCC race that experience level.
and it's cool at the end of the year too. Let him know that he's breaking.
I can hear you. So what?
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I was noticing your internet is breaking up pretty bad.
Okay. I can add that to my list of technology issues that we're having.
Yeah.
So what's going on with the 90?
I was going to text you.
What's going on with the 90 production?
So 90 production. Well, that was another good race right down to the end, with several places throughout the class, not just for first, second, but like fourth, fifth, sixth type situation. But Trayton Acres was able to pick up the championship. And, I was down at their place here a while back, I guess is in the spring, and he was practicing the whole time that I was there, and it's kind of cool to see all these kids. And I know a lot of them are the Faulkners. You're always seeing stuff about them practices and everything. And I know Trayton puts in a lot of time, and he had moved up. I think this is his first year in the 90 production, wasn't it?
Yep, I believe so. He moved up from the
90 stock and picked up the championship his first year. So that's really good. But Chance Collison was second. Taylon Davis. I guess that was the actual point, so wasn't it? Sorry, I didn't look at the actual. I was all screwed up there, Chris. Picked up the championship, but I guess it was Oliver Yarrington that picked up the win down there at Murray. Yeah, it was Oliver Yarrington, and then Chance. Chance was second, so.
Yeah, and that was a very close battle. If you were watching them, I want to say, almost all race, but I noticed it probably third lap, fourth lap. They were very close, probably within, I want to say under 30 seconds, within eyesight of each other going in. And Chance had, I believe, the lead for the most of the race. And then the last lap, Oliver got around him to bring it home.
Wow. And Oliver's had so many, just bad luck, that to see him be there at the end and be able to do that had to be a lot for his confidence. We all know he can do it. It's just, he just had so many just stuff that you would never dream of, go wrong for him. And that's pretty cool to see him get that. So, all right, now I'm on the right one. I was on the wrong one there. So yeah, so that was a great race. Like you said, them guys were going back and forth quite a bit. So, well, then the one that we kind of skipped over, Chris, real quick before we do super minis, was that 70 production.
Yep.
The 70s, it amazes me on these guys on the 70s, just hauling the mail. Tucker Verts, got the win here, but when those three, we'll throw riders kind of newer to the 70 class, and he's moving up really quick. But you throw those top three guys, you look at that with Tucker Verts, Hunter Rowe, and Cade Tomlinson. Mm-hmm. If one of those guys don't have an issue, you can throw a blanket over the top three.
Yep.
I mean, they're just always right there, and
you got to also like the fourth place finisher for the year, Elliott, which I hear he listens to us. Go to bed, Elliott. Elliott was brand new. I think he jumped from the 50s up to the 70 production. So first year. So yeah, looking more out of him as well next year. I don't know if any of these are moving up, but yeah, we'll see what next year brings. Which I do believe Hunter was moving up, right? I think I've seen that for sure. He was moving up, and I think Tucker possibly too.
Yeah, you just never know until we get to that first race.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then what do we have for super minis on this one? We had Cole Brandt. I know he had an issue. What do you only do? Like 4 laps, maybe?
Yep. Something like that. Was another motor issue.
Well, no, wait a second. Was this the one that did they race their 90s?
No.
This isn't the one they did their 90s on? Okay. I thought they raced their. What's that? I thought so. Yeah, I thought they lined up the super mini on their 90 stocks so that they weren't tearing them up for the Ironman, but I might be wrong there. But yeah, Sonny Verts, the Verts family picked up 2 wins there in that one, but Sonny got the win there, and Jenna Berg brought home second, Kate Albee third, and then Brandt came in fourth.
Yep.
So that's always a fun one to watch, man. Them super minis, holy cow, they fly. And here's the thing too. I'll admit this to everybody: is I was probably one of the holdups for that class, and one of my biggest fears. And I know other nationals and stuff do that all the time, and that's fine. But one of my biggest fears too is them being so much faster, like we see them, and then coming up on, and I'm not saying the 90 stocks are slow. They just physically don't have the speed. They can't get the speed out of them like these guys. But man, give our riders props. I have never heard one complaint about a super mini, getting rough or, or doing whatever. They put on a show and they do it very sportsmanlike, I've seen a lot of things out on the track where, they'll wait for a second, they don't force stuff, and they just do a really good job. So, and they're kind of the pros, of our youth session, so it's pretty cool seeing that.
Yep.
So then we had some more fun in between the 90s and the 50s.
Yeah, so between the 90s and 50s, we did a couple more, or actually we wrapped up the Hotsy Hole Shot Challenge, crowned our champion, and then we also did the Adult 90 mini series, wrapped it up with the Hole Shot Challenge as well.
That was kind of like slow motion, wasn't it? Watching those, the Hotsy Hole Shot, and then you see the adults on the 90s. They're trying to get it going a little faster.
It was entertaining, I will say. Jordan Berg pulled it off. And also, pretty much wrapped up his Adult 90 miniseries championship for the year.
Our first ever champion.
Yes. And then behind him was Dylan Trigg, who finished 3rd overall. And Jackson Carroll wrapped up 3rd, but finished 4th overall. Somehow, Travis Brandt snuck in there 2nd. I don't know what he did. We'll have to look at points. But it was a good year. I mean, it was kind of one of the highlights of each race, kind of seeing these oversized guys on these little machines. And I think we had some entertainment this year. I know lots of people like the motocross challenge there. What else we had? At Weldon, we had the pit stop challenge. I mean, you must have one heck of a pit stop challenge there at Mount Pleasant. Just them have to work together, find somebody to work with them, change tires. And it was kind of nice to see, especially with that race, competitors were helping each other and was on each other's pit crews.
Yeah. So. And I'm working on a little special thing for that for next year. We'll see if it happens. Can't talk about it yet, but I like, we used to do that during the Heartland, and that was kind of our first time back to trying it again is with the 90s. And yeah, that's a fun deal. I wish I wouldn't have missed that, but yeah. So,
so overall, cool. We'll ask for input, but I think it was a success. for 2024, and we're going to bring it back for 2025.
What I'd like to hear too from them is, we had several different events. They weren't all the same event every time,
Mm-hmm.
seeing what they thought about that, if they've got some other suggestions, but I like to do whatever we need to do. If we're going to take the time to do it and the tracks and stuff and set that stuff up, I'd like to see, more people doing it, and, but it was fun because there was a lot of upsets, there was a lot of changes in the races. One thing I noticed when we got to Weldon, we had a heck of a crowd there watching.
Yeah.
There was a heck of a crowd, and then that carried over, I think, to the last race with everything. It helped having the hotsy, going on before it in the middle of the races. But at Murray, there was a really good crowd down there watching it as well. So I think we finished strong. And yeah, definitely, like you say, it'd be really nice to get some suggestions and see what's going to take to get some more people in there. And we got to thank Jason Mickelson and Century 21 for stepping up and making this what it was this year. So that was huge.
Yeah, and just kind of to wrap up, that Jason, I believe, is still planning on coming to the banquet, and at the banquet we'll give out the awards for the top 3.
Yep.
Jason kind of want to be there in person to do it, and so we thought we'd do it at the banquet.
Yeah, I'm glad he could be there and was going to be there and be able to do that. So that'll be fun. Yep. So on those 50s, going back to that day of racing, man, there were some heartbreakers that day.
Yes.
Trying to bring it up and have an issue all of a sudden. Why are we having all these technical issues?
I think you're hinting at the 50 stock class. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep. That was yeah, so at 50 stock, it came down to I got kind of caught up watching them, a little bit there, and when I seen that they were like 3 laps to go or 2 laps to go, they were bumper to bumper. And that was Kendall Moeller was leading at the time, and Bailey Kemper was just right on her bumper. And they'd be like 10 feet apart, and then that'd be 6 inches, and but neither one was pulling away, and and they were getting around lap traffic really good, and I can't remember which parent it was, but one of them, I came by and they're watching. And I'm like, I'm trying to watch the whole thing. And I'm not going to lie to you, Chris. I probably should have been looking at the track a little bit more. And I followed that battle, the last mile, maybe 2 miles. And my heart just dropped, and it was an 1/8 of a mile from the finish when Kendall's ended up being a wire came apart up front. Like, I think it had something to do with the ignition. And it just literally died coming around the corner to basically go up to scoring, and what a heartbreaker. But, I know Big Joe, her dad, was there, and Brad, and I feel bad. I can't remember who it was that actually found it. It just 2 wires literally just came apart that were, twisted together and taped and stuff. And, could have happened any time, and it just happened to be right there. But, the race wasn't even the big part to me. Is obviously Kendall was heartbroken, and you get back up there and you get to do it. And when I went up, I seen a little girl that had just won the race and won the championship, and she was so upset because that wasn't just the race, that was for the championship as well, so, but it was so cool. Obviously you don't want to see that, but I talked about the awards too. But when you see 2 young ones like that battling like that, you're not friends on the track, basically. You got to. But even Bailey, I asked her mom, what's wrong, and she goes, she's just sad for Kendall, and you could tell there wasn't no celebrating. She was definitely upset that Kendall had that issue and they didn't get to battle it out to the very end. And and those two just kept getting tighter. I think, I don't know if it was just because they were battling each time, but throughout the season, we just kept seeing them, together more and more. And it was cool. Just the other day, I seen on Facebook where I think Bailey and her sister was up there at the Moors, and stuff, and molars, and just kind of fun seeing that, the relationships that get built, by race weekends, and seeing that carry over and they last a lifetime, it's pretty cool. So, but yeah, on that one, what was that? So Bailey ended up winning that day.
Yep.
No,
Kendall.
right? No.
No, excuse me. Riley.
Riley ended up winning. That's right. Them two were racing for point wise together, but yeah, Riley was in the lead, I guess. I take that back. So yeah, Riley was first, and Hank Haggerty came in second. And then it was Bailey. And then it took a little while for Kendall we get figured out. But yeah.
Then Ace.
So
Ace Summerfield got fourth, and then Kendall came in fifth.
Yep. So Aces came a long ways too. He was getting faster and faster as the season came by. So I think Atkinson could win at any time. That's another great class. There's 5-6 people there that could win. That's a perfect example of, you look at I can't tell you their ages right at the top, but you can start at 4, and it goes 4 to 8 years old. And how many of those kids in there have 2, 3, 4 years experience, So that's pretty cool. So I'd put our 50 stockers up against anybody in the country when it comes to 50 actual stocks. They do a really good job. So
let's talk about the 50 production before we go back to the limited class, because that one had, we kind of a smaller class just because of the machine. But Easton Hambley, he walked away with first place for the year, first race he won, followed by Rory Smith and then Coulter Smiley, who finished third but wrapped up the year in the top spot.
Yeah, and a couple little things that I want to highlight in there. All those did really well. It's amazing to me how fast they are getting, all 4 of them. And actually, there's 5 of them that day, wasn't there? No, just 4.
No, just 3 at Murray.
3, that's right. Yep. But what amazed me is we've seen some of the best sportsmanship again out of that group. And when I talk about this, there's a difference between somebody that cuts a course and somebody that gets off course. And the difference is exactly what happened with Coulter. After the race, Coulter came up and let us know that, hey, he had gotten off course, and it's cool when you see the kids of that age do the right thing. It's what you expect out of the adults, and you don't always get that, And he knew it took him to first to third that day. And, talking with him and stuff, he would much rather have had third, than first and had an issue, So it's just really cool to, see him come up and talk about that and handle it in the way he did. And just much more, he acted a lot older than what he is, put it that way. But not only that, but, you had that happen. But Easton, the race before, I reminded him of that. The race before down at Weldon, he was crawling up on there, and I told him, good job. And he goes, I just can't win. He's getting seconds, and he's right there all the time. And he crawled up there on the thing at Murray, on the podium. And I said, do you remember what you told me last race? And no, I don't remember. I had to remind you, but he was pretty excited. He finally pulled out that win. And once you get that first win, it's a lot easier to get the second, and I think we'll see many more wins out of him. He's all 3 of those, again, unbelievable class as far as speed and, what they can do. So
then you also got to give props to Ryder Moran if I can say that right. He won at Weldon, so he's up there too. He's just he didn't get every race in. That kind of hurt him towards the end of the points, but yeah, he's just as fast. So
yeah,
great to see what's going to happen next year.
And a lot of that's what we talked about earlier. It's just experience, you know, in that class. If you've got 2 more years experience, that is huge, you know, but it also allows, you know, somebody newer to come in there and learn from, you know, somebody that they can really pick up a few things from, you know. So yeah, great class though. Great sportsmanship.
Yep. And then our last class kind of had some additional attention on them towards the end of the year, once we were finding more about these machines that are 50 limited, that we'll continue to monitor next year as well, because the intention for this class is for those newer I guess participants or racers, that the machine's limited to how fast it can go. So
and that's a big thing, Chris, that, you know, we had to push really hard this year. And I appreciate all the parents, you know, anybody that came talk to us about this class. But this is truly the class that allows a kid, and there's not too many more sports like this because of all the clubs and, you know, and the motocross is very hard to get in without spending a ton of money, you know. This should be that class where they can come out and try it and have fun and race. And, you know, it's kind of like the adult, or not the adult, but the 90 classes, where they should all be close to the same speed, you know, based off just the rider. But this is a class that we're just not going to allow anything to slip through. We want it to be a class for every kid to come in and be able to learn. And, you know, we've purchased as a series, you know, a radar gun. So that we can be radaring them to make sure. The biggest thing that we see in this class is obviously the CDI boxes. And I'm learning more and more about it through the parents and stuff. But there's some of these CDI boxes that are made for performance. There's some that's an aftermarket, but it's a factory replacement, so to speak. So we've gotten some of the parents, you know, to help us out with this. And we're going to keep working on it to make it smoother. And basically it's just a really simple thing that if you've got something like that, just come to us in the beginning, you know, so we can make sure that we look at it, we can discuss it, tell you, you know, we're not saying the kid can't still race, you know, if it comes down to it and you miss something the day of the race, but it looks a lot better talking about in the beginning instead at the end, you know. So but man, the Christiansons did great again, didn't they?
Yeah, they battled basically all year long, first and second. So again, Leo took home the championship in the class, followed by Brayley, and then Axel, Oliver, Lucas Strabel, Emily Hambley, Hayes Gillenberg, Zoe Dijon, Eli Dalton. It's nice to see that family back. Dalton's, we just got to get Dad back on the machine. And then Mimi Faulkner brought up 10th place. So good. It's exciting to see that class. And that was only top 10. If we look at that limited class overall, I believe it was 15 or 16 total racers. Yeah, qualified for year-end points.
19, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm trying to look at that real quick.
Yeah, I think it's 19.
Yeah, it would have been 19. Asher Howard would have finished in 19th place, would have qualified, but we recognized 10 at the banquet.
That went pretty deep. That's awesome. That's the future of the sport. So
yep.
If we would have had 50 limited back in the day, that's probably where you would have started instead of on the 400EX, huh?
Probably.
Oh, shoot.
Nice. I'll let you have that one.
We may not get to all the adults, you know.
I know. I'm trying to keep it to you know, let's just highlight. We can go over. I mean, everybody likes to be recognized. Yeah. Too many push out there. We've got some other ideas. We'll start making some posts on the web page as well, or Facebook page. yeah, there's, look at, shout out to Jaden Jones, who took home the top podium spot for the C16 to 25, which, that we can talk about that class. These are the newer, experienced guys coming in, starting other than our first year.
Yep.
That coming in, learning. But yeah, Jaden will actually have to move up next year.
I think he's excited. We were talking about this last night, Jaden being my grandson, pretty proud of him to see him get his championship here. I think that's his first championship. He used to race as a youth and kind of got out for a while, and it's his first year back, and was pretty excited, and mom and dad behind him and stuff. And yeah, it was pretty cool. So glad to see him get that. But he worked real hard, and that's a tough class though. There's people come in there and they don't really know where they should be, and they do it the right way, and they start, to work their way up. And I know there's multiple guys that are jumping up multiple classes, from there. So pretty cool.
Yeah. So we'll just can quickly go through these. I know we're running short on time if we want to stick to that hour. There's other things to try to get through as well here.
Yeah.
So Old C, we got Taylor DeJohn finishing top spot, followed by Mike Gilberstein. Sorry, Mike, I know I probably slaughtered that. Followed by third place Laney Polans. So yeah, those that if you're looking at this live with us or looking at the points, if you see any green spots or your name's green, you qualified for year-end points. And if you're interested in joining us at the banquet, which we'll do a highlight later, there's the banquet form on the Facebook page. Just got to fill it out and let Tracy know.
I'm pretty sure we will have power this year too, so I'm excited about that.
Nice. Utility class. First place, Devin Bowling, followed by Dan Hill and Jerry McGill, third place.
That was a class that we had not a ton of participants, but throughout the year there was people that jumped in and and kept everybody honest in there, so that was good. Looks like Devin was pretty consistent the whole year.
Yeah.
Women's class, Peyton Shear, she picked up her third championship in a row, I believe. I think that's 3 in a row for her. So
congratulations.
Yeah. Ashley Bodorf, another champion, previous champion, was right there again. So not a lot of points separated them. It came down to basically that last race again. Was it 3 points difference?
Yep.
So Cheyenne Castleberry, Shay McLaughlin, if you look at them again, 1 point difference there, so
yep.
That's pretty good.
I think Cheyenne picked up her first win at Mount Pleasant in the women's class. So congratulations.
Yep. And then Summer, another Acres in there, qualifying, getting 5th. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So then our junior class, Chris, our junior class is always one of the toughest classes, I think. Kids moving up from the minis, up to the, that's a big difference. You got clutches now all of a sudden. You've got 2-hour race. You've got another minimum of about at least 3 to 4 miles longer than you've ever had before, and we've always been proud of this class throughout I think from the beginning of the series, we've just always had kids that really shown what they could do in this class, and if you look at Cole Brandt, our champion, we got to give him some credit too, from, the beginning of the year, we were trying to follow everything with the GNCC, and at the end of the year, it just got so tough, especially Ironman. You got so many people going out there, which is unbelievable, and they all do well. But Cole Brandt was the second person from our series to ever win a youth overall. And that's pretty darn cool for him to do that. So big congratulations there, you know. And it's no less of a feat to beat out Derek Nimke. We know how fast Derek is, and Derek's stuck in there with Cole, but Derek was second. Case and Inquist. That's 2 Inquists now in the top 3 overall in their classes, you know. So Sonny Verts right there, Trinity Williams, Nicholas Lucas, Cale George, Bailey Llewellyn 8th, Tanner Housley 9th, and Braden, I'm going to slaughter his last name. Shuri, yeah. So that top 10 is pretty cool. You look at the guys just out of it. Man, look out. There's more coming. So, yeah.
So first year, we've got Gage wrapped up. Not only did he about dominated all but one race this year, took home first place for the year, followed by Anthony Goldsberry, Austin Hindy, brand new to the series, Patrick Emery Blythe, Chad Goforth, Richard Gist, Brian Lloyd, Dominic Dowd, Tristan Ratliff, and Chris Milligan, for 10th place. I apologize for slaughtering anybody's name, but thank you guys. I know your first year with the series. Hopefully it was impact on what a great family we are, and that we'll see you again next year, maybe in a C class or a B class.
Yep. And that's a class. I know you kind of touched on it, but oh boy, they're all over the place there. There's people that never raced before and didn't know where to go. And it's like, man, they were finishing pretty high up there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So definitely. That's a tough class this year. I mean, 30 different people in that class this year. That's pretty cool. Once again, that's the future, you know? So look forward to seeing where they come or where they go, I guess. You go from the first years to the legends of our series. You go into the plus 50 class. Rob Davidak. Took me like 10 years to get that name right, but I got it now for sure. But Rob Davidak picking up his championship. He was able to hold off the legend, the Iron Man, Paul Cirque. Yeah, that's a feat in itself. I'm sure Rob is sitting here.
You also got to put on there. I think he was self-proclaimed 2-time whole shot winner this year.
Yeah. You know, and Rob and Paul and Jim, them guys are always up there. Pat Rocky's always up there, you know.
Well, you also got to look at Bob Berg. You know, Bob wasn't he missed the first 2 rounds, but he was up there too. I mean, it's we even saw, you know, Thad Trump not only at his own race, but he showed up. You know, he participated at Weldon and Murray. So that class, you know, still got some competitiveness at their old ages. No pun intended.
I didn't say that. You did.
But
some of them are landowners. I'm not going to mess with that.
Oh.
And here I was going to fly the flag. I was going to take Trump in 2024, but Rob Davidak didn't allow that to happen. So,
oh my!
But nope, them guys did a really good job. You know, Jim Fox coming 3rd, Bob Berg 4th. You know, you mentioned Bob there too, but it's really good to see him back because, you know, he had a nasty wreck up there practicing. And that took him out there for at least a year, if not 2 years, remember right. So I know Bob just has a blast every time. It's always good to have him back. So then on I'll just go by the way my screen says. So mine's AA next. But, I think this is probably, you look at there's 24 different people that raced in this. And if you go through those names and you look at it, I personally think this year was probably one of the deepest as far as skill and fast guys, I think this is probably one of the deepest classes we've ever had in the AA, as far as you don't know who's going to win,
No.
If nobody broke apart, or nobody had an incident on the track, which is very odd that doesn't happen. But if that didn't happen and you were a gambler, it'd be hard to bet, because there's 9 different people, 10 different people that could win any race, so, but it was pretty cool. But Elijah Edmondson, I think that came down to the last race too, didn't it? I think there was 3 of them that potentially could have won that, on that last race. So, but yeah, Elijah Edmondson ended up coming out on the number 1, Dylan Trigg second, Jordan Berg third. And, an interesting thing, if you look at a lot of these real quick, Chris, is Edmondson has a lot of GNCC experience. Dylan Trigg traveled almost the whole series this year. Jordan Berg's been doing the GNCC really solid for at least 3 years now. The 2 Vanderpools with Alec Vanderpool 4th and Cade Vanderpool 5th is always hitting GNCCs. That experience that they're picking up by going to those and doing all that traveling is really paying off. You watch them and it's hard to beat experience, especially once you get up to there. So a lot of ride time and it's pretty cool. So tough class.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you've got some spoilers in there, like you said, with that class. Tyler Valentine won this year. Tucker Wyatt's won the very first race. Tyle Jones, he kind of joined us mid-season. That kid is fast as well. It's just kind of like you said, you never know who's going to show up and just be the best that day.
Yep. Exactly.
And it's also good. I'll throw another one out there since when we rotate and look at the A class, Cooper Krug had a very good year. He finished up the championship and won it by the 5th round that he jumped in and tried the AA class at the very last race. Got some experience and racing with the other pros. So it's good to kind of keep your eye out on him for next year.
Yeah. Yeah, he was running right up there with them too.
Yep.
You go down through that A class like you're talking.
Yeah.
You got the Christiansons right together again, 2nd and 3rd. Earlier, I think we've seen it at 1st and 2nd,
Yep.
The Christiansons, what is there, 6 or 7 out of those 2 families
Bailey
that are on the track?
Yeah.
Plus, the moms are working their butts off too when it comes to getting that many people on the track and keeping things going. So that's just really cool to see all them out there all the time,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got Clay finished 4th in the year. Hope to see Clay. Hopefully you're doing well, Clay, if you're listening, and we'll see you hopefully next year.
Yeah, I think Clay could be a contender.
Yep.
I know he had to miss that race, but yeah, you look at where he finished with 99 points. Yeah. He's right there. It's just a one miss of a race, and it really changed the points up a little bit. So, but yeah, Tomlinson, all that ride and drive time they got from coming clear out there.
Yep.
The kid's fast, that's for sure. Yeah. Riley Sharp. And then, I give him credit all the time. We can't thank Joe Lutz enough for all the help he does with us working his butt off before the races, a couple days before and then up. And then as soon as he crawls off that machine, he's right out there working, helping, getting everything torn down, everything. But, Joe went from +40 to a +50 And then this year, he's like, he really just wanted to try it and went to A class. And man, he was up there several races and just had an issue, whether it be a tree jumping out in front of him or, or a mechanical issue or something, and I know he got nicked up a few times. But I was pretty proud of that guy for getting up there. And I think towards the end of the years when, he started really riding, at that level. And yeah, Joe always pushes himself. Avery Cooksey made his way back, and he's just getting faster and faster each time. Yep. Jackson Carroll's another one with a lot of GNCC traveling last year that I seen him come up levels as much as anybody I've ever seen. So that was pretty impressive. And then Andrew Lowe, and Andrew's right there too. He missed a couple races, but yeah, that top 10 could be switched out any given day. I think Cooper kind of separated himself, but outside of that, I think that could, you could mix it up 5 different ways, so.
Yeah.
I'll let you take a couple, Chris.
Yeah, well, we got B class next on my list, and Joshua Shoemake, which Joshua, I just noticed that your name is spelled wrong. I'm going to blame it on Andy.
Ooh.
I know how to spell it right now. But take home the first spot there. Pretty dominant year from Joshua. He kind of transitioned over from motocross and did some other different things. Thought he tried 4 wheels and brought the family along, and it was quite enjoyable to meet them and get to know them this year.
That's another family. They all do, but not to interrupt you, Chris. That's another family. It just seems like they are literally having a blast.
I know.
Not just the races. It's cool seeing them being there all together, experiencing everything together,
Yep.
So
yeah, shout out to his son Ethan, who is my buddy at the races, always bringing me snacks or something, and bring him some stuff too. But yeah, it's always nice to see that family there. And we all, second place is not short either. Nick Bergerman, which looks like that name I think is spelled wrong as well. I need to check on that. And then you got the Rank brothers. This time, Colin finished 3rd, Cody finished 4th, followed by Caleb Trumbull 5th, and Dalton Schreier 6th. So,
and jumping in there with you, Chris, real quick on Nick Bergerman. That's another one that we got to give a shout out to, with not just the results, but before he races and after he races. Him and I just went blank now on his wife's name. Oh, I feel horrible. Is it
Sabrina?
No, Sabrina. I was going to say Samantha.
No, that's Bograntz. Oh, what's Virgin?
I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
You were like, what are you talking about? We'll get to them. So plus 30?
Yeah, sorry. I'm making myself a note that I need to update these names. Again, I'm sorry, Joshua. You should just change his name. Plus 30 is, I believe this is a returning champion, right? Kyle won it last year.
I believe so. He's also our first ever hole shot king too.
Yes. And his son, throw that out there, that his son is a 2-time hole shot challenge bracket winner.
Yeah.
So Kyle taking home first place on a 250, right? I believe he rode the 250 all year.
Yep.
Maybe not. One of the mud races, but yeah, 250. Second place, Dylan Howard. Third place, Tyler Birch. Fourth place, Dick Stratton. And bringing up 5th place, Dean Hansen.
Dino.
It's nice to see Dean coming back.
Yes, it was.
And not only does he race, but also he is out there if somebody needs help. Just throw that too out there. That it's very knowledgeable. So if you need somebody with some knowledge or experience with working on machines, he's out there.
Yep, exactly.
Then we have
What
the
do you think?
plus 40 classes next. Sean Stratton, Sean, one heck of a year. He jumped back from riding a utility machine to a sport quad this year. And I did see, made a post. He's a 3-time champion this year, not only with the Iowa series, but a couple other series as well. Or, excuse me, another series on top of the Iowa State Fair Cup win. Second place, Jerry Beating. Third place, Michael Lewick. Chris Lucas bringing up fourth. David Moline fifth. And Adam Ratliff brings up sixth place.
Yeah, and this is one of those classes where you got a lot of good guys in there. Unfortunately, not everybody really made every race, you know, so it kind of separated everything with guys being gone from the races, you know, not consistently there, you know, so it kind of changed up the points a little bit. So, but yeah.
So our next class, I have open utility, but I think we kind of need to take a step back because if everybody remembers last winter when we were looking at rules and classes and the support, that we made a real big rule change this year, didn't we, Andy, with the utilities? And we decided to kind of listen to what people were saying, and pretty much, you know, utility classes were for the utility machines. We created a 4x4 senior class, which I think only had one participant at the very first race. So I don't think that, you tell me, but I don't think that we'll actually pursue that class next year, right?
No, it didn't. You know, we listened to people and what they wanted, and then we really didn't have anybody that said they wanted it even signed up for it. So, yeah, so we'll scratch that definitely for next year. It doesn't pay to have the, you know, the awards and stuff like that, you know, and everything, and then not have anybody there. So we tried to listen to kind of, you know, what people wanted, and then just went off of that, but it didn't work out. So we tried to make it work, and it didn't. So at least we can say we tried. So
we tried, but and out of that, we've gotten one heck of an open utility class.
I think it was one of the best we've had. You know, it's as deep as we've had. You know, I mean, look at your 13th place guy there. I mean, he's obviously one of the fastest guys, you know, on a utility. And I know he didn't race all the races, but had some issues, but it works. It's all Akers is a previous champion at 12th. You know, I'm going backwards here, but 11th, you got the only 3-time champ, I think, don't we?
Yeah.
With Kevin Weeding coming back, you know, and it just keeps going on. You go up through that list, and it's the who's of the open utility guys. You know, these are guys that, you know, quite frankly, Chris, they're not going to go into any other class. These guys want to race the fastest of the fastest, you know, and I'm proud of all of them for taking that challenge on, you know, and some of them had some issues with some machine issues, you know, but they didn't bow out, you know, they lined up to race the fastest guys, and I give them all credit for that. So, and it was cool. You know, the one that really surprised me this year was Daniel Prindle. You know?
I will say it was a shocker to see him at Trenton. I wasn't expecting him to make a return, and I think seeing his smile after the race at Trenton, that you kind of see that he was hooked again. You know, that smile and the urge to come back, and one heck of a year. I mean, 2 wins this year, 2 second place finishes, a heck of a year for him, and to come back after, several years off, come back and take a championship. Not only, you know, it was a tough class. I mean, like you said, anybody could win, Brent was up there, finished second. Jared Sheets making also a comeback, here and there, but we're giving a go for a championship. And our returning champion, Joey Michaelis, didn't have the greatest year this year. I know that, in the off year that he had some motor issues, didn't know if he was even going to race this year. I remember conversations early spring that he was going to take the year off. So at least he came back, made an effort. So I think it was working out some gremlins on that new motor that he had built. But yeah, it's nice to see, top four. Brett Summerfield came in and had some tough races, but finished 5th overall. Shane Austin, I know that he was battling machine issues as well. Gremlins on his machine. Rick Pippin finished 7th for the year. Cody George 8th, and Rick Valentine 9th place.
I wonder how many hole shots Cody had. I know he had several issues, at the races where he'd be up front and then some stuff happened, but I think if you talked to Cody, you'd probably say that was his mechanic,
I can tell you that Cody had 1 confirmed at Weldon hole shot.
Oh, really?
I don't have round 6 hole shots on handy, but 5th round, Cody got that hole shot.
I thought he had more than that. He was always up there on the starts and stuff. But yeah, I think, I looked through that whole group there outside of Daniel surprising us coming back. And then the way he rode the whole year. I know Brent can run as long as anybody out there, and once again, works his butt off all the time. I mean, people truly would be amazed if you followed that guy around, with him and Paul and Joe Lutz, the way they work. And then all of a sudden they get on that and then right back off. I watched him. I don't know if I told you this before, but I watched Brent. Unfortunately, I think it was the 2nd race in a row that he was running up front or really close to it and had an issue. I think it was with his fan, if I remember right. And, anyway, he had to drop out of the race, and I watched him come in. I was over at scoring, and I watched him come in, get off, go get a drink, come right back, get on his other machine, and go out and start working, helping people, pulling them back and everything. Didn't take 5 minutes. I mean, he came in and, his priority was to get out there and help everybody, and that was pretty cool. So, but, I think my biggest surprise, other than seeing Joey have the issues that he had, a couple others have a couple issues, but it's Brett Summerfield. Brett had raced, I think, in the utility for the most part, and then moved up to open utility. And I mean, if you look at where it was, he progressed pretty darn good, and showing that he can race with all them guys. So that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So
schoolboy, kind of one of our smaller classes that kind of we had 2 racers that were in the class all year. We had a late kind of entry with Blaine Franks, who started mid-year. So the Franks family came back after some time off, trying to get Dad back on a machine that used to race with us UTVs. So it's nice to see that class, and there's could be this is one maybe of classes we'll talk about, right? We got some rule changes possibly coming for this class.
Yep. AMA's just released some changes for there that we're looking at.
Yep.
And I think that
it's going to help.
I think that could be a big thing. So
more to come on the schoolboy class as we try to look through those AMA rules and try to decipher them best that we can. But for this year, we had Aiden A's pick up that top spot. Pretty dominant year. Him and Jericho kind of battled back and forth, with Aiden taking first and Jericho taking second. But you can't count out Blaine. Blaine hopefully will make that return next year as well, and we'll see how that class continues with this news coming from AMA.
Yeah. So another good year. I was real impressed with everybody and the sportsmanship, and that was pretty darn good. So Good numbers too. The numbers definitely went up this year.
Overall, we had a good turnout for adults this year.
And I don't have the UTVs in front of me, so I'm going to let you cover those, Chris.
I think I can manage this one. So UTVA, we have Drake Kraft took home the top spot for the year, followed by Dean Strabel. Doug took home third. Lou fourth. Connor Sergio.
Are you still looking? I think the only complaints we've really had about points. Are you still verifying that Doug actually got third?
I could probably verify that again, and I can see that my number is off here as well. So the top spots are we can look at Doug's, see what that is.
I would just verify that, I think there's a lot of people questioning whether or not he got third or not. So
is it Lou that's questioning that, or
I think it's
or Doug himself?
I think pretty much anybody that took the line, So.
All right. So, yeah, congratulations for the UTVA class. I mean, it's kind of kind of an interesting class. I mean, the competitors are all friendly, and what do we have? Three, second, third, and fourth that are on this list. All are actually also on the UTV committee, which we'll touch base here in a little bit as well. UTVB, kind of a different class. We're consider our newer UTV racers. Hunter Waddell. I mean, he put on a great show this year. I'm anxious to see kind of where Hunter lands next year. If he's going to jump to the A class or maybe even the Open. Kind of see how he fares with the other participants. Dan Llewellyn finished second for the year. Andrew Leggett finished third, and Shelby Akers finished fourth.
Very nice.
And then our Open. I mean, UTV Open class this year, it was kind of up and down, very competitive. I mean, you couldn't pick a true winner or who was going to be dominant all year. Kind of everybody. If I look here, there was no repeat winners. I believe we had a different winner every race, except for TJ is going to make me a liar. But I thought it was very competitive. TJ Kunkel's finished first. Jacob Benton second. Jacob was first-year racer with us. Pick up second overall for the year. Chris Drabel, returning champion, finishes third. I believe that Chris was a multi-time champion before this year. Two-time for sure.
Yep.
Mark Hambley finished fourth. Chad Deutsch finished fifth. Dustin Cowan finished sixth. Rowdy Renwaltz finished seventh. Chance Nicole finished eighth. Dan Hill ninth. And Rick Pippin finished 10th for the year.
I think this is one year that we've had a lot of good drivers in the series, but I was very, very impressed this year with TJ. I didn't have one, a lot of these times, in this fastest class, you can get some rubbing going on and stuff. And I didn't have one complaint with TJ. And I seen him make some moves out there that I was just very impressed with. And I love it when you see guys in this class, especially, that you can go out there and you can race with all the time and don't have to worry about anything. They're racing hard, they're clean, and it shows at the end of the day, and I just thought it was a well-deserved championship for TJ this year, I thought, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, I know you had told everybody that you were going to be done by an hour, but we do still have a couple more things we've got to get through real quick.
Yes, we do.
But definitely want to give everybody their props because had a really good year and a lot of good competition, great sportsmanship. So.
Yep. So we'll make sure that we got everybody recognized again. If apologies if we slaughtered your name. So
I was going to jump into one quick thing, Chris. It's not
okay.
a quick thing, but we'll try to hurry as much as possible. And then if I understand this right, I think we're going to put a post out there for everybody as a reminder. But we just got done with the UTVs. So the UTVs, you mentioned the committee.
Yep.
We're going to still talk about that a little bit more probably in the future, maybe the next one. But real quick, the last race, we all had a big talk after the awards and stuff. And we talked up about if there's any rule changes or suggestions that people wanted to make, was to get them to us, either straight to me, they could go to Chris, or they could go to the committee. But then we'd like to have them, we told everybody by December 1st, and then we'd try to get everything put together real quick within the next week or two and get things decided. So you're not waiting clear to February to find out about any rule changes or updates or something like that. So to this point, I have not received anything. I talked to everybody on the committee this last week, and nobody has had any suggestions or anything brought up. So kind of the last call, for UTVs. If you do have anything, it's easy for me if you don't, but get them suggestions in. It's something for us to take a look at. And then we want to get stuff set up and put out there as quick as we can for you guys. So the UTVs are a little bit harder, to make the changes on and updates and stuff that we do. So, yeah, hopefully we don't have to do a rules meeting at the banquets, our goal here. So you're not finding out stuff late. So get those suggestions or rule changes or anything in there that you can think of, and we'll take a look at them real hard and get that stuff out for you guys. And the same thing, we didn't really talk about it at the races. I think we were trying to hurry, but the ATVs in the youth, same thing. If you have any suggestions, anything on those, we'd like to do the same thing for you guys. We just didn't get the word out there quick enough. So I'd like to give them guys, I think we'd talked about like December 14th. That was like another 2 weeks to bring up any suggestions, anything like that. And then we can take a look at them and get that put out there as well. If there's something that we need to vote on or something, then maybe that would have to wait till the banquet or something. We'll figure out something. But for the most part, we just need to know, what everybody's thinking. If you have a suggestion or rule change, we'll definitely take a look at it. So this is when we need to be doing it instead of later,
Yep.
So, yeah, but again, that's for adult ATVs and youth. And I think we made some changes this year that really helped out, so there may not be as many, but.
So here we saw Rowdy just threw up chase lights, and I believe that's already in the rules. We talked about this last year.
Yeah. So the chase lights, we've talked about that even more. I think maybe the last race we talked about it. And that was actually the ones that we outlawed from people saying they couldn't see at the Heartland racing at night. And that's something we talked about even for the series, because we love them. We want to allow them. It's just at the night we had too many complaints about people not being able to see racing in the nighttime. So that's something we definitely want to take a look at it. I'll have to have somebody remind me, maybe the committee or somebody, but I can't remember if we made it to where it was a mandatory, or maybe it was just people thought you couldn't race it during the series. But I would love to see chase lights on every single machine, during the series. And the question is how we can make it to where they could still run them at the Heartland, because it tends to be a dusty one. It'd be much safer if they could. The issue was at night, them being two. So I guess there's a way to program them and stuff to where they could put a different setting on so it wasn't flashing at night. So that's something we definitely still need to look at. But I know for the series, 100%, we would love to see them on every one. I just don't think we made it mandatory. Maybe that's a rule that we need to clean up a little bit. So,
well, we can mark that down.
Yeah.
So we said that we kind of want to get this out of the way before we get to the banquet. So a suggestion. So I'll make that post on Facebook as well. So leading up to the banquet, I'm trying to throw out here. Again, the banquet is going to be Saturday, February 1st. We're going to do the kids awards. We found out last year kind of something new. We started the awards for kids prior to dinner time so we can get through, and after dinner they can go enjoy the amenities that the resort has to offer. Figured we'd do dinner roughly at 4:00, followed by adult awards. There is a Facebook post out there. How the prices for the hotel rooms. We're asking that if you are going to attend the banquet, that the information is received by January 10th. So it's important so we can get all the numbers and everything figured up for the resort on who's attending.
And Chris, while you're on there, I know this is something Trace has to deal with all the time. It's not really just a date that we just pull out of the air and say, this is when we need to know. There's a lot goes into that date. And you know, as well as I do, what Trace goes through with like that right down to that time. We get a bunch of phone calls, you know, saying, hey, I decided I can go, or it's the week after, you know, and stuff. People don't realize probably what happens there. We have to give a food count to them so they can prepare for it. We have so many hotel rooms, you know, that we're expected, you know, when we get a block, you know, there's hotel rooms that we're expected to be able to fill. And that's where you really need to have them, you know, set up at a certain time so that we can get that discount. So it's that date is real important to have that done by then. And I can't beg them enough and there's stuff that happens. We get that, but, it's one of those things. It's even just the seating, you know, making sure that we've got the seating right, you know, and a lot of people, it's very hard. I'm sure there's been some people maybe not real happy where they got set. And typically that happens where you get like, say, 15 people that want to sit together, but 3 or 4 of them don't fill out their things and get them to us until like the week before. And we can't go back and change all the seating, you know what I mean, and stuff all the time. So it's important to get those stuff in early is what we're really trying to get to. So please look at that date and try to make it by that date.
Yep.
You know, and also leading up to that, we used to do this. We used to call it the most valuable, you know, rider, or, you know, MVP rider. And then we changed it to the Jason Goody Award, you know, and Jason decided to show everybody how to, you know, get nominated. And he was putting out, remember the signs that Jason would put out, you know, vote Jason Goody, such and such. And that was always a fun time doing that. But we give out a lot of special awards, you know, and the Lunch Pail Award for kind of the MVP of the youth, the adult ATV, and the side-by-side. We give some other special awards out, you know, throughout the night. And that's something that this year we're kind of changing. To be honest, Trace and I have always sat down and we look at it. And I'm going to be honest with people on how we do this too, because I think it's important. It's not just how you finish. You look through those special awards that's been given out, even the Lunch Pail Awards with like the MVP. They're not always the winners that get that. There's been several people that's second, third, fourth, fifth, you know, that's gotten those awards. But it's not just on how you finish. It's your sportsmanship. You know, if you're involved in something throughout the year, you know, that, you know, wasn't right, you know, most of the time, I'm not going to lie to you, you kind of, that gets thrown out, you know, and we look at everything from top to bottom, you know, if getting, you know, people, it's always friendly, getting there, people, you know, the families, the, you know, the racing hard, you know, not giving up, you know, just everything top to bottom. You know, if there's a complaint every race, you know, about you, or a complaint from you that, you know, there's no way this happened type thing, you know, it's just one of those things where all that goes into play for us. And from the time you get there to the time you leave. So, but we're opening up this year. We want suggestions from you, the riders, the families. Feel free to email us or message us would be better, And if you have a situation, we'd love to hear why you're doing that. It's something that we can maybe put into the awards banquet, is highlighted stuff. Even if they don't win the prize, at least highlight them, So feel free to nominate somebody, give us a suggestion. If you nominate somebody, I really don't want you to just say, I think Chris McKean should be the MVP. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to pull something out that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Like just as an example,
Okay.
But so if you were to nominate Chris McKean, you would have to have a really long story and explaining why. But if you did that, that's what we want to hear. So
scoring's ready 99% of the time. We have some hiccups.
Hey, here's the best part about this is we have a lot to be thankful for. A lot of people to be thankful.
We do.
So it's a thing where we got that one that might get the award, but we'd like to recognize more. And there's not always stuff that we see. I mean, Chris, I've told you stuff that happened on the track that you never would have known about, but there's other people. We had a rider come to me here not too long ago or send me a message about something that happened on the track when we talked about nominating people at the last race. So that's the cool part, we want to hear these stories that come up and stuff. So, and the other thing is too, if you have a favorite photo from the races this year, whether it be in the pits, whether it be in the track, or trying to get through scoring, anything like that, send them to us. Send us a photo that you're interested in. We're working on a little something for the banquet as well. So, but that's all I have on that. Just trying to get that a little quicker.
Yeah.
I think there's one more big thing that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
It's going to happen at the banquet.
So, yeah, I'm going to let you handle this one.
I was hoping you would. Still a hard subject for any of us to swallow, but we lost a valuable member of our racing family here not too long ago. If you weren't up on everything that happened, Brandon Burns, I think Brandon was 41. That really blew me away when I read that. He was 41. Brandon will always be 25 to me. I know his boys are old enough, but he'll always be 25 because he was crazy as anybody that's ever raced with us, and we had so much fun with him. There's a lot of stories that can be told, and I know he's so close with still so many people, and I'll even jump around here really quick, but I feel bad because I hadn't talked to Brandon a lot, in the last year or two, and I think the last conversations I had with him was 2 or 3 years in a row was at the Iowa State Fair. And it was one of those things where he would jump right on and ask me how the series was going, and it was cool because I went to say, how you doing, man? And it was always 100% about the boys, is always telling us about the boys and, and what they're doing and how they're growing and stuff. And it's just a really tough one for everybody right now. But Brandon was fatally injured in a electric skateboard incident. And just a tough one. There were several people at his celebration of life here not too long ago. And when we were talking about everything and reliving the past and a lot of the friends that he was super tight with, which if you met him once, you were friends with him. That's all there is to it. But the guys that were with him, I guess I would say I was lucky enough to be with him more than maybe others. We started talking a little bit, and at the banquet, we will officially be retiring number 95. So 95 will no longer be available to be used. That's something that we're going to remember Brandon with, and not just Brandon, but his whole family that's participated in the series for a long time. And he's going to be a guy that's missed for a long time. So definitely not forgotten. That's for sure. So we wish his family, and not just his family, but his friends and everybody. It was one of the biggest celebrations of life I'd ever been to. And it was, everything there was done absolutely perfect for Brandon Burns. It was, yeah, couldn't have been more fitting. So, but yeah, so we will be retiring his number at the banquet. Number 95 is officially retired from the series. So yeah, tough way to finish.
Yeah.
But I did hear that there's word. I hate to mention any names, but I just know that Chris Lucas is heading it up. I know Josh Fett raised his hands real quick, and there's talk about a third member maybe being on there and racing in a special race maybe next year under the 95 number to remember Brandon. And I could only see Brandon stepping up and laughing at the idea of these guys trying to represent that 95 number. So, but anyway, yeah. So, Chris, that's truly, I think, all I got for the night. I know we went over for sure I know we did a lot of talking and stuff, but
yeah, we're well over, but very important kind of wrap up since we've kind of taken some time off to deal with some things, and we kind of just needed a break. Some of us after the series, but we've got a lot going on too. We got some things that, we say it all the time during the podcast, but we have some things we're working on behind the scenes. Just can't, we're close. Hopefully in the next couple podcasts, we'll be able to release it. What we've been working on. We're going to hurry up and throw out, it sounds like we got to make some posts real quick on Facebook, kind of about things we've talked about, real changes, get the 2025 racer questionnaire thrown out there. Any nominations for awards. Won't nominate myself publicly. Yeah, there's some things coming. We've got even some talks and some plans about a mini series coming up in the off season as those of you are building your 2025 race machines.
Yep. So a lot of stuff going on, that's for sure. So,
yep.
But yeah, I just got a recommendation. Came in, not really a nomination, but someone suggested maybe that I, keep an eye on scoring a little bit more. So.
Oh no. I think I'll nominate that you need to be on the track some more. So, all right. Well, we'll wrap this one up for this week. I have no plans for next Wednesday. Andy, you got anything going on?
I got a podcast at 7, but it's only going to last an hour though.
All right. So we'll commit next Wednesday, 7:00. Unless something comes up, we'll return with another show. So what do
you think the chances of having a big reveal next Wednesday of your behind the scenes?
Oh, it's not ready yet. I mean, I don't want to put any pressure on anybody, but it's coming along.
Something to keep an eye on though, maybe be able to talk about or something. So yeah, cool. And Chris, I want to thank you real quick too. Something that's new to us this year is you've put together some pretty cool shirts. I seem to be pretty popular, and just even seen one of your shirts that were worn down at the Baja 1000 this year.
I saw that one as well.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So
yeah, I've got some ideas coming on the off season, kind of brainstorming on what we can do. Working on a kind of a cool one. I just came up with it today, looking over some pictures. So we'll we'll have some announcements soon.
Sounds
So.
good, man.
All right.
Alrighty.
Well, thanks for those who've stuck around. We'll try to keep Andy under an hour next time. Thanks,
Ooh.
guys.